You're doing it now? When I masturbate now, I only think of dolphins. At different points in my life, I wanted to masturbate, but I wanted to really be pure. I remember Woody Allen said once, he said, when you masturbate, pretend you love her, or pretend you're having sex with someone you love. And I thought, yeah, that sounds pretty good, but I found it increasingly hard. You might say difficult. More on the side of difficult than being erect, truth be told. But it'd be nice to just masturbate thinking of dolphins swimming in a warm ocean, like Flipper. You know, it's like, yeah, I'd be the one on top. Me and that porpoise would make sweet, sweet love. I would finally find the, the purpoise of my life. Here, here, to my new wife, Fifi, of the Pacific chain of islands, who desperately needs to go back to her home waters and is only flown out here for the ceremony and must go back quickly. That's why the SPCA is standing by to take my wife away from me. I must go with her. We'll get married at SeaWorld and we'll be part of SeaWorld. There'll be a big glass and you'll see me consummating my relationship with one of the dolphins. Still pure. Because we're talking about dolphins. It's okay. Not a synonym for children. Okay, leave them out of it. Imagine a dating site. He's got some guy on there. A little bit about me. Sex with children. I'd appreciate it if you don't either. I did meet a pedophile once. No, I didn't kick his ass. Oh, what to do? Here's this guy admitting to me basically how he rationalizes, or at least those he knows, rationalizes having sex with children. Without getting into the ugly details, let's just say there is no rationale. And what I said to him, we were in a station around other people. I said, I'm listening to this, and he's trying to provoke me because he's a psychopath. And I said, well, I maybe he's like, children can consent, and I said, well, their parents may have something to say about that, and we just left it at that. I just basically took him down to the mat, and then this other person is kind of psycho. He's kind of like changed the subject. Because isn't that really the point at the end of it all? It's like, some people who have children don't want that to happen to them. That seems like, even if you don't give a fuck about the children, at least give something for the parents. The children are their property. you know, they do a lot. I'm a child. We've all been children. I gotta tell you, pedophiles, I didn't want someone to do that to me. I'm glad that I didn't consent and would never have consented and couldn't consent, and unfortunately might be stuck not being able to reject such a one as thee if I'm 3 or 4 years old. So, on behalf of all decent human beings, go fuck yourself. Okay, I'm gonna have some water and then we're gonna go. I done? Good. We're not losing any cylinders today. Got better at using my pockets. Oh, and we're off. We're really just started our walk. This is basically where it's a new beginning, and let's close that off. Close this off. Is this all? Pants are good. Closing this. Oh, that sounded scary. Like I said, a lot of things are scary to me. I scare easy. I'm like the deer. I'm like the deer. I want to run away. I want to pass evil by. I want to be really shy. I want to run away. I want to pass evil by. And I want to be really shy. I want to be deer. I want to fly. I want to ride the trails like a wild deer. Actually, I'd rather be an elf. You know, an elf of the woods. That sounds like a pretty good person to be. It's like, I'm an elf. Who are you? I'm an elf. This is my natural habitat, and I can never die because I'm an elf that lives in an astral intermediary realm. Birds can go and they fly into the sun, but more of that another time. Where the whales go, because they're only hunted when they give themselves to these murderous people for our sake, because the royalty of the world love to hunt whales. Right? They're the whale hunters, really. They love to kill animals, and yet they own the World Wildlife Fund. And they want you to put their sticker in the house and give them money, and they do. They probably do preserve in many cases things. You don't have to. They do love to hunt, right? Remember, royalty hunting, right? They hunt whales. They hunt all kinds of things. They love to kill shit, and the whales give themselves from the other dimension. So something to kill. The bulls that they choose to torture in Mexico and the like, innocent bulls and so forth. People, I see people in the world as people, wherever you are, you've given yourself, in a sense, for my sake. Because I see the world as a place that takes a lot from people. So wherever you are, you're taking something from me. You're enduring something of the world in a way that oh wait, just a second. Fairies. Ooh, I haven't seen that color blue before. Okay. They mean different things, right? They have different functions. So I don't always know the color's function. Purple is always safety and comfort. And it can designate certain directions to look when animals might be coming. Orange, often I find, is part of the warmth of like a family of trees, tree spirits, and can often indicate like some function is about to happen among the trees. And and lots of other colors I get that I just associate with certain feelings. Or clear fairies, which are very bright, very almost clear flashes indicate that you're on the right path in many ways. Not that you're not. Like I just got one talking about it up here. And just nice, whatever they are, they always seem to indicate that I'm well oriented in life. So there's different dimensions, different spheres of human orientation, right? And we're oriented to all those spheres. We just don't always think about it because a lot of human life is so painful that we cut our conscious mind off from our subconscious. And it's not, cry me a river kind of thing. There is lots of things and there are sad components to this, but it's a very recoverable kind of thing. Is really what a lot of my life is about. And what you have to offer is not reading a book about fairies and lying and telling your friends that you saw one day sitting on a flower and looking at you out of a storybook like realm, a misty fog of interdimensional excitation and euphoria. Although I'm sure that could happen. I think it's more about, in all honesty, what you're doing to make meaning out of various signals. If you say, oh, every time some snow falls, I feel like that's heaven's way of talking to me, that's fine. Rudimentary as it may seem to all of us, you start off and you start to build a vocabulary, then you notice that, when does the snow fall on you? Does it not fall on you? Does it fall here? What are you thinking about when you trip? What are you thinking about when you see an animal? When you dream about an animal, what does that make you think about? What have you been thinking about lately? Right? Who have you been thinking about? And so it's all this endless ways humans to find meaningful signaling, I like to say, with nature. Here's a nice signal. It's an L shape, kind of a Y shape. Wow, it's really cold. Let's keep going. I know this is. I'm cold. All right, here. Ooh, let's go. Oh, there's the path. Let's try this way. It's covered up all the footprints. Pockets are out here. Okay, we're doing good. That's the difficult part of the day. Oh, yeah. I'm gonna say like just a random rhetorical statement here, just for this sake. I know where I'm coming from. A little shoot from the hip, a little bit inappropriate, perhaps. I think that a lot of women are fat who struggle or say they struggle with the weight. There are probably a few different issues. People more expert than I could talk about. But one thing I would throw into the pot is they're probably not understanding their body's need for protein. That's one, which is very open, right, to discovery and personal taste. But I would guess, as an expert in not even my own body as much as I'd like to be, but that knowing what your body's protein needs are, or are today, or whatever it is you're wanting to accomplish, and within your means, definitely within your power, and probably economically efficient. All those things. Not like you have to go buy like Kobe steaks or anything, right? I mean, nature is very helpful that way. You usually don't need something you can't afford, and since you're probably buying a certain amount of food anyway, sometimes it's worth a risk to really hone in on that perfect protein, make a few mistakes along the way, and just start with the basics, right? Get what you really, 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 and have a good standby or things like that, and just make sure you get that fat and what I would call a protein profile that your body really feels. Now, really getting full on the right protein for your body, is going to be very key, I believe, to women losing weight. And it's like maybe you think it shouldn't need to be said, but I think it does. In my past, having found a protein that works for me, it's amazing how many people who foodies, vegans and stuff, don't seem to give a fuck what I do for protein. They're happy to tell me that they can live off of kale or nuts, but it's like, I can't. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Maybe when you're 16 you can do that. And a lot of times these are people who like to be thin, so they don't care how much protein they've got exactly what they want. A life where you basically can subsist, basically starving themselves, right? And people can do that and feel full off of kale. You can teach yourself to feel full eating kale out of the garden. I've met women who hypnotize themselves into thinking, as raw foodists, that they can just eat kale and they're getting everything they need. All the iron, all the protein that they need. And these are people who have family histories of alcoholism and food control. And it's like, no disrespect, but it's like, for everyone out there who wants to lose weight, and not all these people, again, are fat. They're often very thin to start off with, but you have to get your body the protein that it needs every day. It doesn't matter how many calories it is, probably a bag of chips every day. You think I'd be gaining weight? No. Right? I'm burning, but I also don't live off of chips. I always have the perfect protein every day. The chips are a supplement. They're just something to shove in my mouth. Basically, salt is good, fat is good, feel good. Everybody knows that. Right? Is it a healthy food? No. buy quick on the go. I need something. One day, could I find something healthier? Kale. You're right. Lots of other choices, but my diet doesn't have to be perfect. I'm not a perfectionist. It works right now. It fits my economic situation. You know, I'm not really a culinary this, that, or the other, so I'm always open to suggestions, but I don't like people being snobs. You know, you got to show some respect. Like, at the age of 50, I figured out how to eat. It was a big deal. Because like a lot of people, I had an eating disorder. I had health problems. I had domestic abuse. And fuck, it took a long while. Because getting the food right was a part of getting the rest of my life right. You know, I was cooking to stay alive. You understand? And when you do that, without even, you got to honor yourself. Don't let people just fling advice at you to say this. It doesn't matter how heavy you are. If you found a way to eat, you feel really good for you. And I'm going to say it gives you enough protein. So you don't, one of the most important things I ever learned is when your body doesn't have enough protein, it will just start shoving carbs and starches into it. And it's like, I'm sorry, but if you live in a cold climate, that ain't going to do, baby. You need some real food. That's what I would tell you. If you came up walking with me and you just were eating fucking carrots all fucking day, I'd be like, no, that's not going to fly. Here, you're going to eat this because I don't want you to fucking die. And you're not going to die of cold, but you're going to die the way you're eating. If you're out here learning anything with me, you're going to eat some fucking fat. We're going to stick some fucking fat into your fat ass. Because it should be fat. Because you're a woman. And your ass should be fat, motherfucker. Okay? You love your fat ass. Right? You're supposed to be fat. Women are supposed to be fat. Right? Nothing is so wrong with a fat woman. But she just doesn't have the right self-image. Or self-respect. Not even self-image, self-respect. You can tell how a person walk. You don't have to lose weight. You have to learn how to walk more confidently upon the earth. Walk. You know, pounds, they will come and go. Learn how to walk with your back straight and your head up. You know, have some fucking pride. You're a survivor. The world should fucking worship you. Maybe I'm just projecting. I mean, projection is 9/10 of the law. Anytime you starts getting really personal, I mean, probably a projection or something. Well, I'm not going to go the dangerous way. Let's go this way. My Achilles is doing well. Oh, look, these are my tracks from yesterday. Somebody else's from today. Okay, I'm just gonna yawn. It's boring with yes, really. Well, now this is very interesting. Man, he seems to speak to no short end of things and to no conclusions, and seems to have a sort of intellectual air about him and has some emotional chops, but I dare say they're not anchored to anything real, and I don't have to look too very far to know he probably hasn't had gainful employment since the anal stage of his development. Well, now, on to the next candidate. Excuse me, sir, I think you're being a wee bit superficial in your otherwise exceptional analysis. Emphasis on anal, emphasis on emphasis. Yes, indeed. Do you want me to take a second look at this chap? Sure. All right, well, what else are we looking at here? Well, he's got a very interesting YouTube channel. I think you might want to familiarize yourself with a few choice minutes, like these ones. In fact, he prepared for you in advance that one day someone would want to study his chops, as it were. I call this to the psychiatrist. Hello, simpletons, manians, dark female magic, and cunts and douchebags in general, the psychiatric associations of the world. I just want to say, I just saw Frosty the Snowman in that tree. And that means that we're all in good company. Because don't we love that song? Frosty the Snowman, very happy chap, with a corncob nose and a button this, and two eyes. Too cool. I love that. Imagine someone so poor that they have to use their eyeballs and them with coal. And every Halloween they have to light them on fire and go scare children like, ah, ah. Okay, so on to my childhood. Basically, I was the second of 4 children. I remember getting really badly burned one day. It hurt. I went to bed. It was probably the first real pain I'd known. And I never thought my skin was going to fall off. It just I felt like I'd done something wrong. I stayed too late out in the sun.
it hurt. And it peeled for days. And I'm like, but it showed me the resilience of my body. I was badly burned, as children can be. And it showed me the resilience of my body. Maybe that the ozone layer had gotten a bit thin that year. I don't know. And to this day, like every year, I subject myself to the sun and make sure I get as much sun as I can every winter and spring. I soak up all that sun in March and April, all that sun. So as it comes out, I'm just like, by the time I'm taking off my shirt, I'm already just so used to being in the sun. Lay in the sun, go lay in the sun, go lay in the sun. And not even just to get brown, but just to get sun. And so every year I'm always introducing myself to the sun. Every winter I introduce myself to the winter. So I'm always babying myself constantly. I take climate very seriously. So I don't get burned, really. I mean, I can. I've gotten to a few hot baths as I do at night and think, oh, wow. I need a hot bath in the middle of summer sometimes just to balance out my thermal equilibrium, as I like to call it. And just feelings and colds and chills and things that come over a person if you're a douchebag or a pussy and you think about those things. I do. I have time to look at and feel what my body's doing. That's what I do for a living. I never call myself a doctor. I call myself a desperate 50-year-old virgin, but still I have to say that I've learned to take care of myself as much as I can. Food has been a big part of that. What I buy, where I shop. I was so good at food that my big challenge came. I said to myself, what would happen if I didn't have this health food store down the street? What would happen if I could never shop there again? I just started losing some of my snobbery about where to shop during COVID again. Just, I'll get any oatmeal. I don't care if it's got a Quaker on the front. Said, hey, I'm fucking you with my fucking oats and my GMO bullshit. I love you, pay me money. I just love oatmeal, so like a lot of people. I haven't been eating as much as I used to. I used to eat it every day, and now it's gone down to never. I just don't go to it at night as much. I should. And some flax. Flax is so good for you. It's so cheap. And grind it yourself, but grind it every meal. Get that fresh grind. And you'll thank me later, because brown, golden, whatever, you can just get some. Just don't get the pre-ground stuff. It's a waste of money. Grind it yourself. It's worth it. It's so sumptuous. And on top of having the quality, I don't know if it really is, but having the quality of a protein, and just being so good for you, and broadbacks, and you're getting your omegas, which is paint yourself with fucking freshly ground flaxseed. Do that for your children. It's such a beautiful, powerful food. After many years of veganism, I would just say, have flaxseed in your diet. Have freshly ground flaxseed. I'd rather just have that freshly ground flaxseed. That's all. Fuck it, doesn't matter. But that freshly ground, if I could pick one thing, it'd be the one winner after years. It's not going to hurt you, and it's cheap, and it's good for you. It's worth it. Freshly ground flaxseed. We've made it to the second quarry. I'm going to sit down and eat some more and talk some more. And how like a timber. I've been walking so hard. Woo. Doing good, baby. I'm stoned as anything. I don't even notice how stoned I am sometimes. It's like, woo, baby. Let's see. Can I have some food? Protein. Now that I've been talking about it for 15 minutes. And for me, that's pinto beans and quinoa. 4, 5, 6 to 1, doesn't matter. Eagle. Woo! Woo! Yawn. Nature knows how tired you are. Nature is basically full of everything nature knows. Nature knows how sad you are. So let nature know. How hungry are you? How tired are you? How angry are you? Let her know. Because she knows. Let yourself know. I'm hungry. That's good. That's healthy. I had a really healthy day yesterday and today and had a good sleep. I'm hungry. That's good. That's good. Oh, so completely at the mercy of nature. Yeah, I feel better. It's so beautiful and so dangerous of me. I'm so aware of that. And yet, the more I talk about it, I'm probably getting numb to it. I mean, it's fun to talk about, but it is dangerous. Nature doesn't always behave the way you expect. I like walking here. Last year I've been walking here more often, 6 months for sure. And I love it. It's the greatest walk in the world after years of walking. But it's also one of the things that make it great is that it's also dangerous. It's the most challenging walk. So in parts it's really easy, in other parts it's dangerous. I mean, let's say you like somewhere, in 360 days of the year, what about 5 days? All of a sudden, snow, rain, flood. What about 15 days spread out randomly? What about 60 days? So you have to adjust accordingly. And if you don't want to hurt yourself, get really seriously fucking injured. It's not just like, oh, I'm nature dude, and I'm bringing a knife and matches and a compass and a map, and you do all those things, and you should. I don't have a map, but you should do that. And I take I take time. I take time to get to know a place. I take years to get to know a place. If I know my way around, for one, I'm familiar with the conditions. I am vulnerable, so I'm never overconfident. I'm not wilderness man. I'm not overconfident. I think most men probably out there could probably say they know more about me than me about being outside, even lighting a fire. I like telling people that because then you will make the fire and I don't have to. Because I like to avoid things like that so I can sit back and think. It's like, how do I get more out of them? Let me see. Hmm. Not really, but I tend to shy away from hard labor. In any sense,
I'm not accustomed to making fires because you're not allowed to for the most part. So. People that make fires out here are on their own property. They're on the beach. But you do have to be responsible. And it is dangerous. Fire is its own animal. It can be your best friend and your worst enemy. Like anything when you're outside. You wouldn't tell your son, "Oh, fire is your friend, son. Fire will be there for you. No problem there." He got third-degree burns all over his body by the age of 6. It's like, I love fire. I'm on a lifelong disability. Thanks, fire. But yeah, it's dangerous. And what I also mean by that, life is dangerous. Don't you think? Life has been dangerous for me. I have learned how and how not to place myself in danger. Or to ironically place myself in danger. Not something I want to do, but because I've done such a thing, I have placed myself in danger. And I have to have a part of my life that thinks about danger. I have to be afraid of something essentially every day. So today I'm going to be afraid about dying out here. So you don't want to fall in the river. Okay? You don't want to lose your shoes. You don't want to break your bones. You don't want to give yourself a concussion. You don't want to pass out. You don't want to have a stroke or a heart attack. You don't want to meet with an unscrupulous wild animal. Or be so unscrupulous an animal, the animal has to deal with you, essentially. Okay, so that's good. We're going to sit down.